Hello, everybody. So, I tell you, it's really cool to hear the stories of all of us coaches because we're all so different and there's not one kind of coach. And I am excited to share my story with you guys because mine is definitely different than what you've heard so far. So my name is Shay Stanford. I am a 46-year-old mom of 3, and I come from a corporate background, and I want to share a little bit about my childhood because I feel that that's important in kind of what drove me later on in life. So, unlike the girls you've heard earlier, I am an only child, and I was raised in the 70s, was one of those latchkey kids where I wore my house key around my neck. I got up by an alarm clock, got myself to school, took the bus, rode home, was very, very independent, had to do my homework a lot on my own. My dad was a fireman. He worked a lot of 24-hour shifts, and my mom was a nurse, so she worked a lot of 16-hour shifts. So I also grew up in the woods. Any of you that know Micanopy, Florida, it's this little teeny tiny town out in the woods, and it was out in the middle of nowhere, and we had no TV, definitely no internet because it didn't exist back then, and all the phone calls that we could make were all long distance because I lived out in the woods. So I was very, very isolated. But what that did for me is it made me completely independent. I was forced to figure things out a lot on my own. Any problems that came up, I had to figure out a solution. I had to learn to be resourceful because there was nobody there to look after me. And so I became very independent and self-sufficient. And that kind of was something that was a trend throughout my life. So when doing my homework as a kid, I really, really struggled a lot. My parents did not have a lot of money. I was a C student. I remember in 5th grade, I was going to fail math because it was so bad with numbers. And going to college was really never anything that was going to be probably in the cards. We couldn't financially afford it, and nor did I have the grades. So when I got into college, because of a soccer scholarship, I took it very seriously. And I loved every minute of it. I was around people finally. I wasn't isolated out in the middle of the woods by myself. And I loved it, and I took it very seriously as, you know what, this is an opportunity I would have never had otherwise. I got to go to this amazing private school in Charlotte, North Carolina called Queens College, play soccer on a scholarship, and life was really good. And that really set me up for the future that I never ever thought I was going to have otherwise. And after I graduated college, I have a degree in psychology. I worked at a psychiatric hospital. And it's funny, Lindsay had said about working with bartenders and things like that, and the environment that was in. I had worked for 4 years, done internships and all kinds of things around psychiatric care. And when I actually got a job working there for the 6 months, it was so depressing and so heavy. I'm like, I can't do this. I got to get out of this. Like, it is just mentally draining on me. So I left there and eventually, years later, ended up getting a job doing pharmaceutical sales. And I loved it. Loved it. I felt like I was helping people. And I remember when I started, I was so intimidated. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to talk to doctors? And I'm having conversations with doctors. They're so smart. Like, I don't even know what to say. And it's funny how you kind of grow into everything. But I did pharmaceutical sales for 10 years. And my first marriage, I had my 2 daughters. They're now 17 and 15. And when they were 6 weeks old, I had to go back to work and put them into daycare. And at the time, at that point in my life, I didn't actually mind that much. They were a lot of work. I was like really high up in pharma, doing really, really well, winning awards, and put them in daycare. But what I started noticing initially that first year or two, all of their firsts I was missing. So when you go to the daycare and you get the little piece of paper and it's like, oh, you missed her first word or her first step or all these firsts with both my daughters. I missed them. I learned about them from a little infantogram piece of paper. And eventually got divorced from my husband through, part of it was a lot of stress, and was single for quite a while. Actually, in that time is when I met Lindsay, who went first this morning. And met my second husband. We decided, now he's from Britain. He was actually getting ready to move back to Britain because he missed his family a whole lot. And I was working for a different pharmaceutical company at this time, was in the top 2% of that company. And I found out he and I were going to have a baby. And now at this time I'm 37 years old, and I'm like, well, this is definitely the last baby I'm gonna have. I don't wanna miss all those firsts like I did with my daughters. I wanna be present. I wanna be home and feel what it's like to not be 100 miles an hour and try to juggle all these different things and raise the kids and really not be present and like half paying attention when they're telling me these things. And I just longed for this last time for it to matter. So I'm doing the pharmaceuticals, and they don't know I'm pregnant yet, and Pfizer comes in and buys my company. And my territory, because now they had 2 of everybody, was moved to 2 hours north of where I live. My territory started 2 hours north. So I had to be, that GPS on the car, I had to be 2 hours away by 8 o'clock every single morning, which meant leaving the house at 6, which meant getting up even earlier. And then obviously on the back end of the day, not getting home till 7, 8 o'clock at night. On top of that, doing dinners, reading clinicals, and all the other things that corporate wants you to do. And I remember feeling like, not only am I not gonna get this time with my son, I'm gonna be so freaking far away from his daycare that if something happens, how am I ever gonna be connected with him? I'm gonna be exhausted by the end of the day. And I just thought, I can't do this. I was so mad about the control they had over me that they could dictate where I was gonna work and how many people I saw that day and where I was driving, and if I freaking pulled over to get a coffee, like everything was micromanaged. And I hated that because I was a self-starter. I was resourceful. I was already at the top of my game in so many ways. I didn't need to be micromanaged. I just wanted to be able to do my job and get home and be with my family, because this was the last time I was gonna have that opportunity. So I left. $160,000 a year is what I was earning with my bonuses and my free car and free gas and amazing insurance and all of that. And I stayed home the rest of my pregnancy. I had my son. Now, during this time, Lindsay's offering me the business opportunity, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute. So this whole time goes by. In that year, and now I'm struggling to lose the baby weight. And we have less and less. Obviously, we don't have any more paychecks coming in. And I'm at the gym, really trying to lose this baby weight. And a friend of mine at the gym goes, try HCG shots. You can do these HCG shots, you'll lose like a pound a day. So I do these shots for 12 of the 30 days. On day 12, my husband says, you've got to stop these freaking shots. They are making you a rip-roaring crazy person, and I can't live with you. You're out of freaking control. And I was so mad at him for making me get off these shots because I was losing like a pound a day. I was finally seeing weight loss. In hindsight, it's really good he had me get off those shots, because 6 months later, I had a quarter-size tumor in my right breast. And I remember thinking, good freaking Lord, like I'm finally married to the man of my dreams. Everything is going great. I'm home. I'm finally raising my baby and being present in the moment. And now, what if I freaking have cancer? What if I have cancer now and it's all gonna be gone from me? And now I have to fight this battle that just felt so daunting at a time when I was finally happy that I was living on my terms. And they had to do a biopsy where they cut it out, and I had 2 weeks to wait before I got the results. And if you've ever known anybody or been in a situation like that, you feel so out of control. And that doesn't work for my personality type. And so in those 2 weeks, I started researching like what could cause this, what all these chemicals I found out, and all if avoid soy and all these different situations, chemicals. I started learning about like a lot of the drugs that I sold and the foods in our food supply and all these things that can exacerbate cancer cells. And one of the things I found out were HCG shots, because remember, I know how to read clinical trials, so I'm reading these clinical trials. Now, I don't know 100% that it was the HCG, but what I did learn is in the clinical trials of the HCG, the monkeys had a higher incidence of breast and ovarian cancer because HCG basically comes from pregnant horses. It's the thing that when you go on pee on a stick and it like tells you you're pregnant, the HCG levels, but they extract it not from humans, from horses. So you're injecting an HCG hormone, estrogen, for the size of a freaking horse into your body every single day. And your estrogen levels go through the roof, which is why there's an increased chance of breast and ovarian cancers in people that have done HCG. I have to tell you, I was so mad at myself because I'm thinking, out of vanity for wanting to be thin and skinny and look great, I didn't even question. I didn't even think, maybe I shouldn't put this in my body. And after the 2 weeks of learning everything that is out there that we just blindly put in our body and don't ever freaking question, I was so angry at myself. And I vowed that day, I said, if I get through this, it is going to be my life mission to educate people on food quality and things that can move us towards health and away from disease. And around that time, I reached out to Lindsay and got P90X and Shakeology. And you bet your ass I researched everything in Shakeology. And so many of the ingredients on that bag were ones that I had learned help with so many diseases and reduce inflammation. And I'm like, wow, do people have any idea what's in this freaking bag? It is amazing. So started all of that. I lost the weight. Now, mind you, broke, no job, new baby, love the products. This girl still said no to Lindsay 4 times over a year. So I get the saying no. And I want to share with you why I said no. Because, first of all, I had only heard stories about coaches that had nothing to lose, that had nowhere to go but up. And I kind of felt like I'm too good to do that. I've worked and sacrificed too much to have a college degree, great pharmaceutical background, corporate background. I'm way too smart to do some pyramid scheme thing and throw home parties. That's what losers do. And that's how I felt. I felt like I'm too qualified to do this. Also thought it was a pyramid scheme until one day someone asked me, well, Shay, what is a pyramid scheme? And I was like, well, I don't really know. And then when I learned it wasn't in all the way Beachbody is set up, I'm like, okay, so there's obviously a misconception here on what a pyramid scheme is compared to a multi-level marketing. So, okay, got it. The other thing is I had a fear of failing, not so much for myself, but what if I start marketing and all my college-educated friends, all my pharmaceutical la-di-das, all the doctors on my Facebook, what if they're like, what is she doing? Why is Shay doing that? And they felt about what I was doing the way I felt. And then what if I fail in front of all of them? And the other people who I was judging beat me. That would be such a blow to my ego. I don't know that I can handle that. So I said no, and I kept saying no for a year. The irony is that everybody kept saying, go back and get a safe job. Go get a safe career. And I thought to the fiber of my freaking soul, there's no way I'm going back to corporate America. I'm going to find something on my terms, a product I can stand behind, because you know what? Now I know better after all the research I had been through. Oh, forgot a big part. My biopsy came back negative. It came back negative. Praise the Lord. And so now I had this complete mission to find something that was a product. Products freaking mattered to me. I wasn't going to stand behind some freaking crap. It mattered to me what I was endorsing and having other people put in their bodies. And when people are like, find a safe career, there was no freaking way I was going to go back to have someone else tell me how I need to live my life and where I need to be. And what if that company gets downsized or I get laid off or something? Like, there's nothing that's safe, guys. If you think you're safe in corporate America or getting a college degree or all, no. What's safe is you taking the wheel and freaking being the master of your sea and doing your thing and making it work. That is a much better guarantee than someone else dictating in an HR office who gets to stay and who goes. That wasn't going to be on me. So I'm still saying no to Lindsay, by the way. So you might be wondering, what was the aha moment? What was that aha moment? Here I am, loving the products, completely stand behind Shakeology, what we offer. I just couldn't get past that mindset, that ego mindset. I went to her house one day for lunch, and she was in this little tiny apartment. She didn't mention this, but I will brag about her. She's the top earner in Beachbody, by the way, now. I go to her house, and she had this little tiny 2-bedroom apartment because they had to rent because she had lost her other house to bankruptcy and foreclosure and all of that. And she had this little desk. And her desk was looking out of a window. And on her desk, she had a candle and her pictures and a little, like, I think she had tea or coffee or something. And she had her list of things to do that day. And her husband, Billy, had made us lunch. And her little girl, London, was playing around at our feet while we were chatting. And I laugh, if you've ever seen Jerry Maguire, You Had Me at Hello. I tell her, she had me at home because I wanted so much to be home for my kids because my parents were never there or present for me. I wanted to be not behind a dashboard, not behind a cubicle, not in control, not controlled by somebody else. And that desk on her terms with her kid spoke to me. And all of the perceptions I had had before and fears didn't matter at that point. They were gone. Because now all I saw was me sitting behind that desk, and this is what I need to do. And I can stand behind these products. I did pharma for so long, and I was not going to push pills that promote disease. I wanted to be on the front end of prevention after what I'd been through. And these products speak to my mission and promise I made to God. I was like, wow, you talk about timing. And Dara had talked about this. Timing had to be right. It was like this perfect storm that had to align up for me to finally realize this is it. This is what I'm meant to do. And so I changed my thinking to this. I said to myself on the way home from lunch that day, what if I treated this like I treated college? Like, this was my answer. I was never supposed to go to college, and circumstances made it that I got to go to one of the best freaking colleges in the country. What if I looked at this like I looked at that college opportunity? What if I took it that seriously? The day I got hired with GlaxoSmithKline, everybody thinks pharmaceuticals is like, it's so hard to get into, which it is. And I took it so seriously. What if I looked at it and pretended in my mind that Beachbody was the best pharmaceutical company out there, but with health and fitness products. And my job was to rep them. What if I looked at it like I just got freaking hired by the best freaking company out there? What if I looked at it that way? And then, instead of thinking this is what losers do, what if I can be that story for all of you that work for corporate, that work for someone else, that want to be freaking home or have the freedom to do what you want? What if I can break that mold and show people just like me that this is a freaking legitimate business? What is possible with network marketing? Not these ones that do it for 3 months and then give up, but like if I treated this as seriously as I treated every freaking amazing opportunity I had come my way in the past. If I treated it like that, what's possible? And I want to tell you what was possible in the 7 years I've been coaching since I joined that night, by the way. I called her, I'm like, I'm in. I am in. I am going to treat this full speed ahead. This is my career. And you know what? It never felt salesy to me. People are like, oh, I don't want to be salesy. You know why? Because I shared how freaking great these products were. I believed in these products. I felt like these products were saving people's lives, and I was unapologetic to my mission on why. And I believed in this vision of this business and what was possible as if it were any other freaking amazing opportunity out there, unapologetically. I had held nothing back. I was going to be that difference made for people like myself and what I would have needed to have seen from people like me in this business. You know, when you think of corporate and, you know, it's all about conformity. I'm not a conformist. Those of you that know me, I definitely am the master of my seat. I ring my own bell. Autonomy is my middle name. And there's something with corporate, and you know, and corporate's great for some people. And it was great for me for many years. I just got tired of the control. I got tired of conforming. You know, they teach you how to think. They make you think small. They don't allow you to dream big. They want us all to look the same, do the same. Tell people like Lindsay Stay, don't go do that pyramid scheme. It's not safe. While he's sitting at a bar drinking, probably because he's miserable in his job. Corporate was very good to me for many years, but I wanted more. There was something in me when I'm driving by and I'm seeing people playing golf or doing something amazing. I'm like, what do they do for a living? How are they able to be out there and they don't, like, doing life on their terms? What are they doing? I wanted to be that person. And corporate doesn't teach. Sorry, my daughter was calling. The positivity in this environment, as Lindsay was saying, is so much in corporate is cutthroat and backstabbing and climbing your way to the top and turning that person in. And it's just, it's ridiculous. This business makes you think bigger. It breeds creativity. It breeds autonomy. It breeds doing things however you want, whenever you want. And I want to, you know, it doesn't make you think small. It makes you think bigger. And that is something I unapologetically share time and time again. And people don't know until they are in it and how amazing it is, because we're so much in these negative environments and it's nothing like that. So I want to share with you, last thing, what this business has done for my family. Yes, I've quadrupled my pharmaceutical income, and that's been amazing. 4 years ago, so I remember I said my husband's from the UK. His whole family's over there. He rarely gets to see them. He has one son, the only grandchild. So his family rarely gets to see their grandson. 4 years ago, we're sitting around the table with some friends. And I said, man, it'd be so cool to live in the UK for a little bit. Just like have our son experience that culture and be around his grandparents and, you know, see castles and all kinds of stuff. And my friend across the table says, why not? Why don't you go do it? Because I still had that corporate mindset, right? I'm like, and I thought of a reason why I couldn't do it. And I thought there's no reason. That winter, we packed up our house. we went and lived in the UK for 3 months. I continued to work, hit one of the highest ranks in the company, all from my mobile phone. Meanwhile, my son got enrolled in school in the UK. We traveled to 5 or 6 different countries. My daughters flew over there for Christmas break. Guys, that doesn't happen anywhere. Even if you own your own business, to be able to have the freedom to go where you want, work where you want. My children read history books and they're like, I've been there, I've done that. That's what this business has provided us. My daughter taught herself to speak Japanese 3 years ago. Her dream was to go to Japan. Last summer, my husband and Raina went to Japan for 10 days. That's a really expensive trip. This business has afforded us the time, autonomy, and freedom for my kids to fulfill their dreams now. That's what it's about. They went to Japan for 10 days. My son, who's 8 years old now, has never known what it's like to not have his mom and dad pick him up at the bus stop, attend his events, and be 100% present for him. He doesn't understand what other parents like work elsewhere. None of that would have been possible at corporate because you have so many days off and they tell you they own you. So what this business can do for you guys, if you come from a background like me, if you are destined to be the victor and not the victim, and you want to be the master of your sea, and you want to change the way people think about this industry and make as much money as you want, not what someone tells you, look at this business the way I did when I finally flipped the switch, because it can give you so much freedom and autonomy on your terms, and it's just up to you. And I'll leave you with this. What I love about this business is you are in business for yourself. I do what I want. I choose how I want to do it. I'm as creative as I want. But you're not in business by yourself. You have a team of amazing people that want to lift you up and be successful, because the way the business is designed is when you're successful, we're all successful. And that's the kind of tribe and environment I want to be around. I apologize for going more than 10 minutes. I'm 46, so I get to talk a little bit longer than the other girls. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day.